Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, formerly somewhat daily tarot and rune for the 8th day of November 2021. Well, I hope you all had a good weekend. It's getting a little colder here, and I have to buy new snow tires, so I'm going to give a call to our local tire shop today where I get my tires, and I'm going to make an appointment and ask them, do you have something the same thing? I don't think they have exactly the same thing that I have on the car right now, but it doesn't look like they have that on their website, so I don't know. We'll see. But they have something that's close and just as good, so that's probably what I'll go with, but I need to talk to them. But anyway, as you know from last week, we changed the name up here from Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune, which I've never been all that happy with, but it's what I did in the very beginning when I first started this and years ago, and I just never changed it, and I've been meaning to, but to something that really probably more reflects what we do here, but bringing spirit energies into form, basically, because that's really the standpoint from which I do these readings. How can we, as beings of light, as beings of spirit, focused into these bodies, how do we then perceive our world? Do we perceive it from the standpoint of the ego, or do we still perceive it from the standpoint of spirit? And I think that given where we are in our vibrational development, if you will, here, I think that it's time that we started accepting who we really are and trying to live from that standpoint. That way you have less judgment, less overreaction, and all of that, which is really the ego's domain. So, anyhow, we're going to start with the runes. I've drawn Vunyo, or Fellowship and Joy, from the Elder Futhark. That's going to be the significator for the reading. I need to move my keyboard out of the way here. Let me see if it will stay up. I don't know if it will. Ooh, I do it that way. There we go. That way I have an area to work with here when I put my cards down. Let's see. Move the T over there. Let's go ahead and we'll discover our Geomancy rune by throwing down the 4 elemental ones there, and it'll be arranged in fire, air, water, and earth, and then I'll just find it here in my little bowl. Looks like we have Fortuna Minor for today, and I will show you what that looks like. It's the complement of Fortuna Major. This is Lesser Fortune. I kind of look at it as more, instead of the windfall of Fortuna Major, where you get income or whatever, you derive some kind of benefit or fortune, if you want to look at it that way, at the end of something. This is more like progress along the way. And so you can have those moments, where you're working on something, and I've always likened it to progress billings that contractors might do, or other types of businesses might do, where something is a long-term project, and so they're going to bill it out here and bill it out there, and then in the final analysis, you won't owe the whole thing, right? It's like making a down payment on something. But this has more of a progressive type of a feel. So it's possible with Vunyo, about joy and fellowship and harmony and all of that. Peace, it's the wish rune. Success and happiness, but it's in a progressive nature. So something about that is, you could think of it maybe as baby steps, or maybe we're making progress along the way to more fellowship and joy with other people. Maybe our relationships with others, or maybe a relationship with an individual has been strained for a while, and now you're starting to maybe see progress there. Or maybe it's that the way opens for progress to be made in that regard. So just think about it that way. Couple different ways to see it, and see how that resonates for you in your life today. And that's going to be the significator, or the overall intention of the rest of the reading when we do the 3 cards. I was doing 5, but realistically, the last 2 really just really are sort of the same sort of energy of the runes. You can think of Vunyo as spirit, and you can think of Fortuna Minor, the geomancy rune, as the earthly form, the earthly presence. So spirit and versus form, they're just within the types of runes that I'm using here to start out with. So it was kind of redundant in that regard. So I'm going to eliminate it and go back to the 3 cards to talk about this. But if I need more, I'll take them. If there's something about a card I'd like to know more about, then we'll take that. But we'll know that at the time. So let's go ahead and take our 3 cards and see what they have to say. Well, we have 2 cards from the major arcana, so spirit archetype, soul archetype. And we begin, though, with the 3 of Cups. And here you have fellowship and joy, basically, with one another. Mind, body, spirit balance, success, victory, an emotional connection to people. It's a triplicity with the 3. You see the cups held high. The cups reflects the water element, or our emotions, empathy, compassion. In this case, you see some abundance around them. You see the fruit around them and the vegetables. It looks like there might be a pumpkin right there. But this is all about abundance. But realistically, it's about the emotional abundance that you gain, I think, when you're in fellowship and joy with other people. So success and celebration and all of that. So again, if this has to do with maybe a strained relationship with somebody, a friend or someone in your family, you may see today some start at the beginning or some progress along the lines of coming back together, and I think that the 3 is showing us that. Now, the next card is the 8 is the 8th card of the major arcana, strength. Here we're taming the wild within. So whenever there's an issue between parties, I mean, even say marital partners, for example, there's going to have to be some give and take on both sides. Even if there's clearly one party that's in the wrong, it still requires the other person to let go of the hurt feelings. And so I think that whatever is happening here in terms of our fellowship and joy and manifesting peace and happiness and the progress toward reunion, which is, I think, is what this is saying, certainly with the 3 here, then I think it's going to take inner strength to do that. Sometimes we don't feel like it, sometimes we hang on to the feelings that we have, the hurt that we have. And then on the other side of the equation, if you're the person that has maybe been the initiator of the strained relationship, it's going to take the inner strength to understand and let go of things that really aren't serving the situation. So there's that involved as well. But theoretically, strength is about taming the wild within. You see the woman with the white gown on. She's got a garland around her head. You see the lemniscate above the figure 8. That denotes cycles. And sometimes, again, we don't always feel as strong, and sometimes, the lion wins. But in this case, if we're wishing for peace and joy and fellowship and progress along that path of reunification, then we're going to have to tame the beast within. And it's almost like a Lilith card, where you're accepting the wild child within and using it in a positive way with other people. So in a way, strength is kind of like that. I think it's kind of an interesting way to look at it, really. But it's trust, it's mastery, it's unconditional love. And so maybe the unconditional love aspect of it, we have to remember that if this is indeed something that is a result of strained relationships, then we need to remember, excuse me, that we love one another, basically. Now, lastly, the 9th card of the major arcana is the Hermit. We see the master high above on a mountaintop, a snowy mountaintop here. His staff is in his left hand. And he's holding a lantern with a lighted Merkaba in the center of it. He's looking down upon creation, and he's trying to gain some kind of inner voice. He's to inner counsel, divine wisdom. It's withdrawal, it's retreat, it's hearing silent counsel, it's listening to the voice of spirit, it's aligning in higher self-presence to get above everything. It's almost like it should be a 7, really, to stand back and take a look at the bigger picture to see and to get an overall understanding. But that's what he's doing. But then he's sharing that with the world, with his lighted Merkaba, with his lantern. He's basically illuminating that wisdom for everyone. And so I think that what you can think of this as is when you have Vunyo here, I think that it's given that runes are a language of spirit, then what it's suggesting, I think, is the fellowship and joy that you feel for other people is spirit-based. And if we're getting caught up in the ego, see, which the hermit has chosen to get up and away from, he's getting away from the chaos of the world, he's retreating, he's withdrawing to gain divine inspiration. That comes again from higher awareness or spirit or the soul level versus the ego. So to gain the strength that you need to then progress along the path toward reunification, you're going to have to get away from whatever is happening in the world here, in your world, that is, to take you into that position. It's getting warm in the still room with my candles and everything, so we're going to get the fan out. Well, crone years and all. It happens. I had it happen one time in front of a guy where I had a hot flash, and I was at work, and it was just sort of, because when it happens all at once. Every pore on your body opens and releases the heat, right? And sometimes you turn red. And that happened to me that day. I was just beet red, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And it was a younger guy, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Give me a minute, it'll pass." And I got my fan out and I'm fanning myself. Poor guy, he had no idea what he was seeing. He thought, "Oh my God, what's happening to her?" He was about to call my husband. It was awful. but anyway, it happens. But I think that getting out of the ego is probably the key here to making progress toward reunifying with someone. I think that when that happens, then it's much easier to align together. If you look at this as mind, body, spirit alignment as well, because of the 3, because that's an element of this. You're basically dropping resistance to coming back together in unity with somebody. And again, Vunyo is suggesting that that's fellowship and joy. Basically, what you have here is you have Kenaz. I'll just explode this here so you can see what it looks like. To see the elements involved here. You have Vunyo. So we start there. And that breaks down into Isa, Laguz, and Kenaz. And Isa is alignment and spirit. Basically, it's controlling the will, it's contraction, it represents ice, freezing unwanted behavior. And the unwanted behavior, of course, the source of that is the ego. Here is Laguz, we flow in spirit with one another. And then here is Kenaz, and now it's turned inward. Typically, Kenaz, in its traditional presentation, is done the opposite way. Okay? So here it's expressed outward with it would be like you here in the center, say this is your heart chakra, and you're expressing love and light and illumination outward to others in your orbit, basically. And then when you have it turned the other way, when it's reversed, then you're basically looking at Kenaz reversed. And so that light of spirit is informing you and allowing you then to express love and joy and fellowship and happiness and peace with other people. But again, with Fortuna Minor, we're talking about something that's progressive, so it's taking maybe baby steps, and that's okay. You're heading in the right direction today. So I guess that's it. I don't think we need to have any other cards. Just think about this today. See if this resonates for you. See if there's something in your life where maybe there's a relationship that really is sort of stuck in something that's not particularly comfortable. Maybe, you don't see one another. You don't talk to them anymore. You could use the reading here to maybe make that contact and start to make progress on reunification if possible. If it's something that's really important to you, if you really miss that individual, if it's a family member. This has been a difficult time with the pandemic, so maybe you haven't been able to see people as often as you've wanted to, or in the way that you've wanted to. You've had to get creative about it, either texting or on a Zoom call or FaceTime or however you do that, right? And so when you finally get back together, it's such a blessing. We finally got to see our kids last summer and our grandkids last summer. We haven't seen them because we've wanted to stay safe. They've stayed safe. So it was such a joyous experience to be able to come together again. The second of those times was around our grandkids' birthdays. They're 2 weeks apart. And so we were able to have the family together for that. And that was a lot of fun. And kind of felt normal again, So again, this is progress along the path, basically. And there just could be someone in your life that you're wishing that you could have back in your life that maybe there's just been some tension with. And so the way seems open for that right now. So, think about it and take that step that maybe the other person can't take. So anyhow, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for coming by. Click subscribe. I hope you'll do that. And again, the new name of this is As Above, So Below, because honestly, I think it really represents what we do here far more than Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune ever did. Although, it was just one of those things where I didn't know when I started doing this how much time I would have during the day, to do something like this. It was new. I'd never done anything like this in my life. And so it was like, okay, so it'll be Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. I wanted the title to talk a little bit about what it was, but now I just kind of feel like, well, it is what it is. So, and maybe that might have been a good name for it. It is what it is, but I don't know. Maybe As Above, So Below makes a little more sense. So anyhow, thanks for coming by. If it's your first time here, I'm so glad that you did. And if you've come back, thank you so much for watching. And we'll get together on Thursday again for another edition of As Above, So Below. And be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.